Well, it's Thursday, March the 5th. We are almost through this week. I'm Todd Duplantis. Welcome to Up to the Minute. We have got a great show lined up for you this morning. Brittany Pacheco in with us this morning again.
Good morning.
And we've got Niecy Hamilton. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Todd. Hey, Brittany.
Hey,
How's it
good
going?
morning.
I was looking through your list of accolades. You are a mother of 7.
Yes.
7.
Yes.
You've got a full house.
Yes. A
Bless you.
basketball
Noisy
team.
house, too.
Yes.
Bless you.
But you're a veteran.
Yes, I am.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
A senior marketing executive, an award-winning comedian.
Yes.
All right. And a political candidate?
Yes, well, I was. So I ran with Dr. Shabazz when we ran for
Okay.
office in 2019.
Okay. So
Yeah.
for city
Awesome.
council.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And she won, so I'm definitely grateful. I threw all my support behind her, so she's
There you
awesome.
go.
Absolutely.
Yes.
She'll do a great job. But most importantly, on a serious subject, you're a human trafficking survivor.
Yes, I am.
And you're spreading your message across our campuses to, and you mentioned something earlier, which you kind of mentioned, and I think people don't necessarily get, that Houston is #1 in human trafficking around the nation.
We are #1 for human trafficking, and
That's
it's
not
so sad.
that's not something you want to hear in your
No.
city's name and
It's
title.
not something to be proud of.
This is
No.
something that is just, I guess it's a hidden secret, a dirty
Yes.
secret that people need to know about.
Absolutely. I speak to several different cultures, and I give advice to so many people.
Yeah.
This is the first time that we've seen this social divisive issue come to the foreground so fast, because none of our cultures were ready for it.
Right.
From Caucasians to Indian to Hispanic to Vietnamese to, the Asian culture,
Yeah.
we weren't ready for it.
Yeah.
And social media is being used in this too to lure people
Yes.
in. Is that what's happening here?
Yes, so typically most abusers, if they're going to abduct you, which is
Right.
totally different from trafficking, you will see, people post up the mass hysteria to gain that fear.
Yeah.
Right.
The white vans with the locks and things
Yeah.
like that. Okay, that's not trafficking because the element of that crime hasn't happened yet. That's abduction.
Right.
So if somebody's taking you or pulling your child off the street, which our children are being hunted every day in the schools, because it affects anybody, everybody. It could be your teachers, it could be your principals, it could be your pastors, it could be your best friend's mom, it could be your dad, it could be inside your house. And that's one of the things that goes, we can't get good empirical data on, because most trafficking in human trafficking comes from familiar trafficking, and we sweep that underneath the rug. And
Wow.
it's where it starts in the house first. And because those symptoms don't get dealt with, the kids, they come out and they think because that type of abuse has been normalized in the household, they come out into the street, which human trafficking is a survival crime.
Yeah.
Okay, then it's acceptable on the street because it was acceptable in the family household first.
What type, being a parent, this has got to be terrifying.
Yes.
My kids are grown, they're in their 30s now, but what type of age are we talking here that their kids are being targeted at?
So the average age of a girl being trafficked is 14.
14 years old.
14.
Amazing.
14. Average age of boys is about 12.
And what do you tell parents who are out there? I mean, it's hard to keep teens off of social media, especially preteens.
Yeah.
It's part of the culture. It's part of the lifestyle. It's part of the entertainment as a kid.
Yes.
It really is. But what do you tell parents for warning them? And what are some of the things you're supposed to look for?
Well, the first thing I tell parents is to think like the abuser. The first thing we think about is
Ooh.
to protect the child.
Yeah.
No, you need to think like the abuser. And there's 3 helpful tips that I tell them all the time. Abusers are helpful, trustworthy, and kind.
Wow.
That is a currency
Yeah.
of an abuser. All the time they're going to display that because most abusers need name tags.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when stuff don't get dealt with in our generation and there's a gap from our kids, we'll start to accept things for our children that we shouldn't be accepting because we went through that and we managed to live through it. We
Right.
expect our children to live through it too.
Right.
And
Right.
that's never okay.
No.
So typically, adult to adult reporting, I always get parents to go back in their minds and think about that one time that they experienced sexual assault or know of a friend who experienced sexual assault, because the 60s, 70s, and the 80s were corrupt.
Yeah.
You guys did everything. I mean, everything under the wood everything under the sun you could think of was acceptable. And crack was a part of that era, especially in the 80s. And so
Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah.
part of that era. I grew up through that era. And when you can recognize those signs of the abuser, then you can say, okay, wait a minute. I remember such and such. He abused me. He did X, Y, and Z to me. But he's a pastor. He's a basketball coach. He's a soccer coach. You need to go and report that.
Right.
Because he's grooming, this is how grooming starts. He's grooming children constantly to be around him, to be helpful, to be trustworthy, to be kind, because that's his sexual preference. And typically abusers are going to be around their sexual preference.
So the main thing from what you're saying is if you have been abused in the past, and it goes back even a couple of decades, you got to think this person hasn't changed.
Yes.
They may have learned how to do things better now.
Yes.
So we need to look at going back and seeing how we can help others.
Absolutely, and especially for the African American community. You know, things were so commercialized back then, and being a pimp, it was flattering. Right. You know, you had the fancy cars and the fancy
you
hats
look at
and the
music.
clothes.
You look at the movies. Music. Then it evolved into music videos. It became, you know, like a gangsta lifestyle, and that's not the way things need to be nowadays.
Exactly. It was socially acceptable, and then we made everybody from Hispanics to blacks and whites. It was socially competent to us to see pimps and prostitutes. It was okay. Here's what we forgot, that as the time changed, that the pimps were going to get younger. They were going to change. It has evolved now, where, you know, you got the pimp, and then he got one girl, and then got that one girl turned into two girl, and the two girl, and then they're in the recruiting process, and they start recruiting. Everybody has a reporting system, and they create a loyalty around this, a trust around this.
Well, you mentioned trust. They're trusting each other, and that's a method of survival.
It is a method of survival. This is why human trafficking is a survival crime. People often get it confused with prostitution. Human trafficking is not prostitution, okay? And here's why not. Prostitution involves two people, the buyer and the seller. Human trafficking is three people. There's the buyer, the seller, then the slave.
Wow.
I'm not asking to go out and sell my body. I'm not asking to substitute my body as a type of service to provide an income for another human being. And that's what makes it sexual slavery.
And how common is that in the Houston area? If
Oh,
you
my
look,
God.
I mean, is it something that you see on a daily basis? Do you work with victims of this to help them get back into society?
Absolutely. So 40% of our homeless, actually, yes, 40% of African American girls are being trafficked. But 61% of our homeless population, it correlates to human trafficking.
61% of the homeless population.
61%. So even when I go back and do the statistics between Harris County, Fort Bend, and I believe Montgomery County, they had over 1.3 million students enlisted as homeless students.
Wow.
If your trafficker is looking for you, he's already looking for that broken, I call it a God gap, that gap where he knows that the children are going to go unnoticed, what they're least thought about, and where people can keep the most handle on them and the most, you know, covering. You know, I can't cover a child that's homeless. You know, I can't protect a child that, you know, I may know what's happening to them at school, but I can't cover them outside of the school because there's limitations.
When people hear about this, they think, you know, this is shocking, number one.
Yes.
You can't believe it's happening today, much less in your own backyard, in your city. That's the number one trafficking spot in the nation.
Yes.
So what can the person at home or somebody who's watching this live stream, what can you do to help the problem, to assist to stop this? What can people do?
I'm going to tell you now, our background checks suck.
Yeah. Well, you hear about people getting through background checks with Uber and all that, you know, and gun background checks. Don't get me started there. But, you know, background checks aren't working in a lot of ways.
They are not. We're going to have to take time and spend time with our children. We have to get to know our children. If they have drug issues, you need counseling. We need to know what's going on and how we're handling. We can't say, hey, we have a kid that has a drug problem and then put that problem on the coach. Because if coach is an abuser, guess what you just did?
You just gave him the ammo.
You just gave him the ammo. because whoever he's done it to before, and he's done it to
Yeah.
somebody before,
Yeah.
they haven't reported it yet.
Yeah.
So we keep losing data. And we keep missing the kids that go unrecognized all the time. If kids are coming to the school and you know they're homeless, because if you got 1.3 million students at your school homeless, you as the teacher, you know who has the money to manage certain things. Your kid comes in and they got an iPhone 11, but they ain't got the kind of money to manage that.
Yeah, where did it come from?
Where did it come
Right,
from?
sure.
How did you get it? And then for my teachers, one of the biggest shockers for my teachers, something that they don't even think about. When it comes down to the dating scene, typically my teachers, my school administrators, people that are in servant type positions,
Right.
they really don't have the time to do the most investigative work when it comes down to their love life, right? So here it is, you thinking, okay, I get a guy, he's nice, he's sweet to me, he's kind, he's trustworthy, he's helpful. This is what I've been looking for all of my life. But by the time you ask him what it is he does for a living, he can't answer. Red flag.
Yeah.
By the time you start asking him important qualifying questions, like when's the last time he says he wants to get married, but he can't tell you the last time he filed his income taxes.
Yeah.
That is
That's
a
a red
big
flag.
red flag. Most traffickers are making anywhere between $150,000 to $200,000 a year on the black market. And guess what they haven't done? They haven't filed income
Yeah, you're not
taxes.
gonna
You're
file.
not
Sure,
going to file
sure.
taxes on
Right.
the black market. It just doesn't
Yeah.
work like that. These people are not, taxpayers. They're going to duck and dodge every system possible to get away from being noticed.
I think it goes without saying, for any bad intentions out
Yes.
there, that bad people are going to always find a way to
Yes.
achieve those bad intentions. And I have three nieces. Two are one's 18, another one's soon to be 18, the other one is soon to be 15. And anytime I'm with them, I tell them, you stay close to me. I said, I don't want y'all
Yeah,
wandering off,
yeah.
when we go to wherever we're going. I said, because I don't know who's out there,
Right.
and I, maybe it's just being overprotective. I'm the youngest in my family. There's a huge age gap between me and my siblings, but I take my nieces and think of them as my own when they're with me.
Yes.
And with social media, Todd, you had mentioned the how a lot of predators are out there on social media. My 18-year-old niece wasn't allowed to have social media unless her mom had the
Right.
same social media, and they were following each other to see
Yeah.
what kind of content was being put out there, and who she
Yeah.
who she was friends with and who she was talking to. And I think what you're saying about parents, you need to spend time with your children, get to know your children,
Yes.
and know if there's something out of whack. It's very important, because I know that with that same 18-year-old niece, she was experiencing a lot of anxiety and a lot of depression, and for someone who suffers from that already, she knew to come to me and ask questions and to be that open. And so I felt great knowing that she felt that she could trust me, but that also was because of that I took the time to talk to her and hear her out and just be there for her. And I think I had to hold back a few tears from everything that you've been talking about, because it struck a chord.
Wow, I get
Yeah,
that a lot.
It does, yeah.
It definitely struck a chord. I'm going to probably cry right now.
It's okay. I love you.
But we love you for being here. But I think what you are doing to come to HCC to talk to the students about, not just your experience, but the facts.
Yes.
Because I'm sure we have hundreds of students
Yes.
who have either experienced this themselves or know someone that has experienced it, and you're giving them the resources and tools to help
Yes.
either themselves
Yeah.
or someone that they know, and to recognize, if someone is in trouble, if someone's potentially being tracked. I read a story recently about a woman on an airplane who saw a very young woman with a much older man, and she wasn't allowed to look up
Yeah.
from right here.
I think I saw that, yes.
And the passenger passed a note to this young lady saying, "Are you okay?" And she, no.
Right.
And, do you need help? And she says, so the passenger spoke to the flight attendant who was trained to help in this kind of situation.
Yes.
And I think knowing those signs and everything that you
Yes.
just said, and again, I'm so grateful that you're here talking to our students about this, because it's important, and especially knowing that Houston, is #1 in human
Yes.
trafficking. That is incredibly disturbing. And we each need to take it upon ourselves to become more educated and to have those open dialogues and to learn those resources and tools to, for our own benefit, but to benefit others as well.
Yes.
And I'm glad you brought up the point of getting to know your kids, because that goes back to the ages when we were doing crazy things and not getting, but really from the 60s to the 70s to the 80s, it all goes back to get to know your kids, know what you're doing. When I was a kid, my parents like, when the lights come on outside,
You better be
come
home.
back inside.
That's right.
You better be home.
You know,
Or Marvin Ziller, when he came out and said it's 10 o'clock. Where are your
should've been,
children?
I was home.
You would
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
You know, this is so, I'm telling you, things have definitely changed. Used to be, you know, if you were 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 having children.
Right.
You were definitely afraid.
Yeah.
Because you were having a kid out of wedlock.
Right.
Yeah.
And
It was terrifying.
It was not okay.
Now it's
it was
just the
not
norm.
so
Yeah.
right.
Oh, it
And
is.
here's the thing. We have girls, here's my biggest age group of girls having babies. 15 through 19.
Yeah. Yeah.
15 through 19, 2018, they had over 200,000 babies birthed to that generation.
Oh, when I was in high
That's
school.
Generation
Yeah, it's-
Alpha, by the way. That new generation
Yeah.
that's going to come up. And the 15 through 19-year-olds, if they don't know God, because at least we knew that. That's where we got the wedlock from. We had some principles,
Yeah.
okay, if I'm allowed to say that, HCC.
Right.
We had some principles, you know, some biblical beliefs that
Yeah.
kept us grounded.
Sure.
If they don't know God, and they birthing out children
Yeah.
What's
that
going to
don't
happen
know.
to the child?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Now we're raising up a generation who goes godless.
Oh, yeah.
People who
That's
are without
scary.
principles. People without morals.
Right.
People without protection.
And I think it goes
Yeah, yeah.
also without saying too that children, no matter what age,
Yes.
need boundaries. They want
need- yes, they
boundaries.
do.
They have to have
Yeah.
some structure.
They do.
Because otherwise, if they run free, you know, God knows what happens. Excuse me, but you know,
Right.
That is so
they're
true.
subject to being in situations like the topic that we're discussing right now.
Absolutely. You know, so in high school, if you remember dating in high school, you had your high school sweetheart and you were with that one person and, you know, you were all googly eyed and you knew,
Yeah.
you know.
That was
who
the
you were
one.
with. Yeah, that was
Be
the
together
one.
for the rest of your life.
Yes.
Making retirement plans. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Thank
From
God
high
I'm
school.
not.
Sure.
You knew that. But here's how high school is today. Hey, girl, Johnny come lately is fine. I'm dating him. Won't you come date him with me?
Wow.
No, that's-
yeah.
that's- no.
That's life now.
Or running a train.
okay.
When you hear the word train.
Yeah.
Why would somebody need to run a train on one particular person?
Yeah.
That's never okay.
No, it's not.
And these are terminologies that we heard 20, 30 years ago that we think don't exist because time has changed.
But
But, it's
now
still
it is.
happening right
Yeah.
now.
It's
Who
still
says
going on.
history doesn't repeat itself?
Right. And the biggest issue that goes underreported, especially in colleges, are sugar babies and our sugar daddies. Because we all know that student debt is so high that you can't even find a job to match the amount of debt that you acquired
Right.
to even pay
Oh,
for
it
the
certainly
debt.
can be that high. Absolutely.
So girls are like, oh, I'm gonna sell my body, I'm gonna sell my virginity, and
Yeah.
because they made this stuff cool, predators are like, hey, I don't have to go to jail because you ain't underage,
Right.
and you're still young.
Right.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm
You're-
saying?
it's-
you're
Why don't I
consenting
fly you
to it,
over
yeah.
here?
Right.
Why don't I do this with you? So,
Yeah.
and that's where we get our data from. So the average age of a man trafficking women today is 30 years old.
It's
That's
Niecy
crazy.
Hamilton. This is just, it's an enlightening conversation.
It's
that
a
we're
heavy
having.
topic to
It's a heavy
discuss.
topic, but you know, it's an important topic to get out there and
Yeah.
talk with your kids, talk with the
Yes.
community, and remember back to the people who treated you one way, because from what you're saying, they're
Yes.
not changing.
They're
Yeah.
not changing.
No.
So
So
they haven't been caught.
You're making your rounds around HCC, and I know you've been to a few campuses already, and you're
Yes.
going to be at the Spring Branch campus on Monday, March
The 9th.
the 9th from noon to 1 p.m., and then Central Campus Tuesday, March 10th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.
I can't wait.
And then the West Loop campus Wednesday, March 11th, noon to 1 p.m., and then after spring break at Coleman as well.
Yes.
And these are discussions. I imagine you've got a Q&A section as well.
Yes, I do, and people have lots of questions, and I have
bet they
lots
do.
of answers because this is good. You know, here's our thing: we have over 70 human trafficking agencies in Houston, and what we have to do is make sure that these agencies are hiring survivors like myself
Right.
to be a part of the team.
Sure.
If you have people coming to you wanting to talk about human trafficking and they never been through it, then whatever they say, it's just a guess.
Yeah.
Because they haven't been through it. You want real life
Well,
experience.
it's like having drug and alcohol counselors. You want a former addict as your counselor
Exactly.
in order to deal with the current addict. You
Yes.
know, that's
That makes
exact-
sense.
You
Makes
know,
a
and,
lot of
and
sense.
it makes complete sense. And wow, what a heavy subject, but certainly
Well,
important.
we'll be there for your Central
Yeah.
Campus
I'm
event.
excited.
Yeah,
And
we look forward to being out there.
I that same niece I was talking about earlier, she'll be with me
Bring
that
her.
day.
Yeah.
And
Bring
I
her.
told her, I said, I need you to hear this. I need you to understand the level of severity this is.
Yes, I mean, I talk to everybody from
Yeah.
police officers to judges.
Yeah.
Our court system, making sure that they recognize it. When it comes down to emancipating minors or dealing with minors that come through CPS systems,
Yeah.
or stop giving us those titles where we deal with adultification,
Right.
because that can happen in any community,
Sure.
from
Yeah.
Caucasian to Hispanic
Absolutely.
to African American, where the girls are overacting or replacing what they supposed to be doing as a child, acting like as an
A grown.
adult. Yeah, and you're not knowing that those are signs and symptoms of somebody that's been, physically and mentally,
Right.
sexually abused.
Used. Yeah.
Exactly.
Niecy Hamilton, thanks for joining us on the show today and bringing this
I
subject to
enjoyed it.
light. We're going to have to get you on more of these podcasts.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know,
Absolutely.
and get you in here to
Yes.
do a Q&A. You know, it'd be good to get her in here to do a live stream Q&A
Yeah.
with our audience out there.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you can
Yes.
answer
That would be a
questions
great
live.
opportunity.
So we'll look at doing something like that in the future as well.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Thanks for being here. Stick around for the rest of the show because we got a few things we're going to discuss. We'll probably pop them on over there for a little your comments as well. But one thing that's happening today, if you want to know what's going on at the Southwest College, in about 40 or 39 minutes, you can have lunch with the president. Dr. Madeline Barillo.
I love Dr.
Hopkins.
Barillo.
Oh, she's great. She's having lunch with students, and it's happening today at the Stafford Campus Learning Hub Auditorium, 11 a.m. To 1 p.m. Free lunch.
Oh, who
Free
doesn't love free lunch?
when you're a college student. That is the deal. It's also going to happen Thursday, March the 26th, after we return from spring break, at the West Loop Campus Auditorium, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. as well.
Awesome. Great opportunity to meet your college president. She's great. I love chatting with her when I have the opportunity.
And there's a student, the Northwest College is having a spring level 2 juried student exhibition. We have a lot of art around HCC.
A lot. I mean, pretty much you can't go to any campus without seeing some kind of art gallery. So this is great. It's a juried exhibition that's selecting outstanding works from advanced visual arts students in the Spring Branch, A-Leaf Hayes, and Katy campuses. HCC professors will choose the faculty award recipient. This is great. So this is happening.
Yeah.
This is happening Tuesday, March 10th through April 3rd, hours by appointment. So you can call 281-702-9787.
Or you know what else you could call?
You can call the Arts Line.
The Arts Line. Our Arts Line at 713-718-6570. The Arts Line. Give them a call.
Give them
Learn
a call.
everything that's happening
So yeah,
across there.
go check out this event. The reception and awards is happening Tuesday, March 31st at 11 a.m. So this is happening again at the Spring Branch campus at their main building gallery in room 10. And it's free.
And there's a front-end boot camp. HCC's Northwest Office of Student Life continues its informative ongoing software engineering boot camp on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Bring your own laptop, and that's happening from 2:30 to 5:30 p.m. Today, Thursday, no, well, that was, see.
Well,
that was
today is
yesterday.
Thursday.
Yeah, well, Thursday, yeah.
Yeah.
We're already on Thursday.
I know.
Thursdays and then Tuesdays through May the 7th, Spring Branch campus on the West Sam Houston Parkway.
Yep, and they'll have food and drinks. So again, free food.
There you go.
Yes.
This is
The
awesome.
next one, Spring System Solos. What is that all about?
This involves our music students, and they'll present a free evening of solos and duets featuring piano, voice, guitar, and other instruments. We have incredibly talented
This sounds
students
fun.
here.
I almost want to come back to school just so
Just
I
do.
can enjoy.
We got a lot of cool stuff.
Come and roll.
happening
I
here.
Come and roll. Let's do it.
Well, you can always, it's never too late to be a student at HCC.
No.
Anyone
I
can
know.
enroll.
Anyone
all
can
All
enroll.
throughout the,
You know what I'm telling you? My girls that are still, in the strip club or in that life, you guys have an amazing construction program.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I tell them all the time, I'm like, hey, ladies, if you can go up and down the pole, you should really consider the construction
You
program
should, yeah.
at ACC because
welding.
scaffolding, you have to go up and down
Yeah,
poles.
yeah.
So,
You got it
and-
down, yeah.
Yeah, see?
and
my
welding's
goodness.
another hot commodity as well.
Yes,
There you go.
yes,
It is.
I love it.
Yes. So we've been talking about the census, throughout this semester, and
glad you
it's
brought that
it's
up.
here, and it's important for us to do our part, and because this is a once a decade count for everyone in the U.S.,
Right.
whether you're documented or undocumented, it doesn't matter. It's completely 100% confidential and anonymous. But this is important for all of us here. Why is it so important for us, Todd?
Because that's how we get our funding. Being here at HCC, we're publicly
Yes.
funded in a lot of ways. To get state funding, we have to have a proper head count of the students in the community. And the only way we can do that is if you stand up and be counted.
That's right.
As Brittany mentioned, whether you're undocumented or documented, we still need a good head count so we can get the proper funding to fund all of our
Yes.
students. And this goes for, we were talking free lunch programs,
Yes.
in the schools. It goes for the
Clinics.
breakfast, the clinics, everybody needs to be funded properly, especially government organizations and agencies. And the only way we can do that properly is through the census.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And there's also great job opportunities to, while the census is going on, to take part in. And I know they're looking for both, English speakers and Spanish
Yeah.
speakers as well. So this is a great opportunity for some secondary income, but also
Yeah.
to take part in this, again, once a decade event. So you can either respond online, or by phone, or by mail. And if you just want to learn a little bit more information about the census, you can go to 2020census.gov.
And we are trying to grow our social media audience, especially for this show. We're live every morning at 10 a.m. Mondays through Fridays, Central Standard Time, when HCC is in session. So tell all your friends to watch our show.
Yes,
We're on
I
Facebook
will.
Live. We're on YouTube Live, soon to be on LinkedIn. And tomorrow we're going to be on location at the State of the College.
We will be. So, but if you're looking to follow us on our social media platforms, you can find us using these handles down here. So for Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, they're all the same handles at We Are HCCS. And on Snapchat, yes, we do have Snapchat, guys. It's at We Are HCC. And we also use a very similar hashtag, Todd.
Hashtag We Are HCC. Easy enough.
Easy
I use
peasy.
it every day when I
Yes.
send stuff out.
Yes, you do.
Niecy Hamilton, it's been incredible having you on the show today.
It
We
has.
look forward to seeing you more of you in the future. Don't make yourself a stranger.
Oh, no.
Come
I'm
back
not.
on here. You're always welcome on the show.
I love y'all. Y'all just
We
been giving
love
me
you too. We
energy.
appreciate you being here.
No, and I think it's a great idea to have like a live
No,
Q&A.
I really do. I'm
and
serious
having
about
her
that.
discuss
We
this.
do that with a lot of subjects, everything from financial aid to getting jobs, the job program.
Yes.
This is an important subject our
It
students
is.
need to know about. So I think, we do plan on that in the future, get you in here for a live show where people can ask questions.
Yeah.
They'll comment below, and then you can answer those questions live.
And you know what else I think, Todd, before we end, is that with HCC partnering with me and the other girls that are connected to me, seeing this partnership come together, they'll be more enthused and more affluent to come back to school,
Sure.
to enter
Yeah.
back into the
Absolutely.
job
That's what
market,
we really
to
want, sure.
compete
Get 'em back
professionally
in
in
this
public
job market,
spaces,
sure.
and become tax-paying citizens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
of course.
really feeling that self-worth again.
Sure.
So I really appreciate this. No other college has treated me with this much honor and respect, and this is my first major partnership with the college, and I'm enjoying it. This is a
great.
huge step for
Sure.
all girls to end human trafficking this way.
We
Well-
appreciate you being here and telling us about this, and
Yeah.
we look forward to getting you back
Definitely.
on again. And, it is incredible to see people's lives change, and it happens, it's very easy to do to get back into school.
Yes.
Well, and keep in mind the middle word in our official college name is community.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this is important. I think the fact that this is coming, it's, for our community,
Yes.
not just our students, but just for everyone in the city of Houston. And this is a really very touchy subject, of course, but it's something that needs to be discussed in this day and age. And I think like partnering with you to bring light to the community about
Yes.
this is incredibly important.
Now I'm gonna cry.
No, don't cry. No, because I don't want to cry again.
Okay, enough crying. We'll
No
get
more
them to Kleenex. But we appreciate you being here again.
Yes,
Thank you
sir.
for joining
Thank
us
you,
today.
Todd. Thank you, Brittany.
And thank you for joining us on Up to the Minute. I'm Todd Duplantis.
I'm Brittany Pacheco, and you're up to the minute.